Renowned medical scientist Dr. William Li has revealed that our bodies can actually perceive themselves as younger, and the key to that isn't our internal organs, but our muscles. Muscles play a central role in our lives. They're what allow us to move, stay active, and maintain our independence as we age. And the main fuel that keeps muscle mass strong and healthy is protein. Dr. Li shared alarming statistics. More than 90% of people over the age of 40 aren't getting even 20% of their daily protein needs. That kind of deficiency can rob you of an active life, making everyday tasks and even short walks feel like a struggle.
So up to the age of 40, you should be eating about 50 to 60 grams of protein per day for the average size person. And between the ages of 40 and 50, that's above the age of 40, you start losing muscle mass. An example you might see is think about the older person that you might have seen in your life, somebody with really, really thin arms or really, really thin legs. Their body might actually be looking okay, but you can tell they're actually losing muscle mass. This is called sarcopenia, and it increases the risk of falls, where you can break a hip or worse. And falling is actually the precipitating event for older adults who are living independently, where after a fall, especially if they break their hips, they can't manage anymore by themselves. They've lost their independence and they need assisted living or a caregiver to be able to get around safely. So you don't want to become frail. You don't want to actually fall. If you're going to live long, you want to be able to live as independently as possible. And developing that strength, keeping up that muscle mass is absolutely critical. So adding protein to your diet after the age of 40.
Dr. William Li points to sarcopenia, the gradual loss of muscle mass, strength, and muscle quality, as the main reason behind these serious consequences. It typically begins around age 40 to 45 and speeds up after 60. But the key word here is speeds up, because the process can be slowed down and in some cases, even partially reversed. And the hero of this story? Protein. Proteins are made of amino acids, the raw materials your body uses to build and repair tissue. But when it comes to sarcopenia, it's not just about how much protein you eat. It's also about the quality of that protein and how often you're consuming it. As we age, our muscles become less sensitive to protein. That means the same 20 grams that might stimulate muscle growth in a 25-year-old may no longer be enough for someone in their 60s. That's why Dr. William Li highlights 3 superfoods that can help meet daily protein needs, especially for people over 45. And one of the most familiar, time-tested sources of high-quality protein is meat.
Meat is a good source of protein. You know, beef, pork, chicken, duck, fish, shellfish, all good sources of protein. For example, a 3-ounce serving of beef has about 20 grams of protein. A 3-ounce serving of chicken breast has about 25 to 26 grams of protein, even a little bit more than beef. Ground pork has about 22 grams of protein per 3-ounce serving, about the same amount as ground turkey.
Even though meat is rich in protein, it's important to be mindful about the type you choose. Dr. William Li recommends not relying too heavily on red meat. It's harder to digest and can be heavy on the system. Instead, he suggests exploring other, more interesting options, ones that are lighter, healthier, and often more enjoyable for a lot of people.
But we know that in the end, that eating large amounts of red meat, not healthy in the long run. So we're talking about beef here. And longevity is all about the long game. So I encourage you to think about other sources of protein besides red meat. As I mentioned, seafood is another source of protein. For example, salmon is a good source of protein, as well as a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, which are good for longevity. A 3-ounce serving of salmon has about 22 grams of protein, about the same amount as turkey. And cod, which is a mild white flesh fish, has about 19 grams per 3-ounce serving. And it's actually got a good, healthy amount of omega-3s as well. Now, clinical studies of both salmon and cod show that these types of seafood are good for your metabolism. Through their omega-3s, they can help you burn harmful body fat, which reduces visceral fat, the kind of fat in the tube of your body, and actually lowers inflammation as well.
Seafood is one of the best sources of high-quality protein. Unlike red meat, fish is easier to digest, doesn't trigger systemic inflammation, and actually supports the health of the heart, blood vessels, and brain. all key systems that form the foundation of a long, healthy life. Experts in geriatric nutrition recommend eating fatty fish 2 to 3 times a week to help maintain muscle mass and prevent sarcopenia. When it comes to preparation, Dr. William Li recommends what he calls the holy trinity of cooking methods for muscle health: steaming, stewing, and baking at low temperatures. These methods help preserve not just the protein, but also the essential micronutrients that keep your body strong and resilient. However, Dr. William Li strongly encourages shifting the focus away from animal-based proteins and paying more attention to plant-based sources instead.
Shifting 3% of protein from animals to plants. Shifting just 3% of the protein intake from animals, like beef, to plants, like beans, led to a 10% decrease in deaths from any cause. 10% decrease in death from any cause. And this is true for both men as well as women. Now, the reasons for better longevity by taking in plant protein compared to animal protein is thought to be due to the fact that animal protein has higher levels of methionine and branched chain amino acids. This is found in meat and not in plants, especially in red meat. And this is considered to be one of the triggers for chronic diseases. Now, more research needs to be done on this. But again, having more shift in protein from red meats to plant-based foods actually lowers overall mortality.
When it comes to plant-based protein, one of the easiest and quickest sources is nuts. They contain slow-digesting proteins that help keep amino acid levels steady in the blood, especially important for people who don't eat meat regularly or choose to limit their intake of animal protein.
Now, another source of plant-based protein are tree nuts. Pecans, walnuts, macadamias, pistachios, cashews, even pine nuts. And seeds are also a good source. Pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, all good sources of protein. Now, for tree nuts or seeds, I suggest you just take a handful with you as a snack during the day. Something you bring to the office, something you're going to have a bowl to snack on throughout the day if you actually want to get some protein in. Those are good snacks, and eating them actually a great way to actually get some extra protein in. And they're a good source of dietary fiber. Dietary fiber feeds your gut microbiome, and when that's a good, healthy gut bacteria, and when your gut microbiome is fed, guess what? Lowers inflammation, and that sets you up to actually have more longevity as well.
Another excellent food that can help you easily meet your daily protein needs is beans. Depending on the type, beans provide 15 to 25 grams of protein per 100 grams. And here's what makes them unique. The protein in beans is absorbed more slowly than animal protein. That means a steady release of amino acids into the bloodstream over several hours, especially valuable for older adults, whose recovery and muscle repair processes tend to slow down with age. Sarcopenia often develops alongside chronic low-grade inflammation. Fortunately, beans are rich in natural compounds like polyphenols, anthocyanins, and isoflavones, powerful antioxidants that help reduce inflammation and protect muscle tissue from breakdown. In fact, a 2021 study found that people who regularly consume legumes have lower levels of C-reactive protein, a key marker of inflammation, and greater overall muscle strength. While all beans are beneficial, Dr. William Li points out that some varieties stand out as particularly effective and worth adding to your plate more often.
Now, how much protein are some beans, legumes? Let's talk about this. 1 cup of chickpeas has 14 grams of protein and 12 grams of dietary fiber. The dietary fiber is really, really important as well. So you're getting twofer, protein and dietary fiber. You can try, again, making a bean stew, bean soup, chickpeas. You can actually do all kinds of things with them. Just look up a recipe, chickpeas recipe, and hit video on Google, and you'll actually get shown from people who are really passionate about what they do, how to make something really tasty using chickpeas, for example.
For older adults whose muscles are less responsive to protein, chickpeas can be a real game changer. Their protein is absorbed slowly but steadily, giving muscle cells a longer-lasting supply of nutrients and helping reduce the risk of tissue breakdown. When you combine chickpeas with whole grains like rice, quinoa, or bulgur, you get a complete set of amino acids, similar to what you'd find in meat or eggs. It's an ideal option for anyone who doesn't eat much animal protein, but still wants to stay strong and energized. Dr. William Li points out that while there are tons of chickpea recipes out there, a few stand out, even for people who aren't big fans of legumes. Take classic hummus, for example, with olive oil and lemon. It's not just tasty, it's smart. Lemon boosts the bioavailability of iron, while olive oil adds anti-inflammatory monounsaturated fats. Another great option, a chickpea salad with avocado and greens. It's what Dr. Li might call a muscle bowl: protein, antioxidants, potassium, and fiber, all in one dish. Perfect after a workout, or even as a light, nutritious dinner. Our muscles are the foundation of a strong, independent life, and keeping them healthy isn't just up to our workouts. It's also about what's on our plates. Dr. William Li reminds us once again that food can be one of our most powerful forms of medicine. The key is knowing which foods support our muscles and turning them into meals you enjoy.